I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, March the 22nd, where demand is light for cattle. And I mean, it suddenly has gotten really light, and on pretty much all classes. But the funny thing is, the best demand we have out there for any class of cattle is probably for fat cattle, but it's a fat cattle market or the market down the road that's killing the demand for all the other classes. But it's kind of a curious situation we're in. Look at the board here, middle of the week. June live cattle futures down $1.62 on Wednesday to end the day at 107.37. April spot live cattle down 187 all the way down to 117.70, and that is about $9 cheaper than what your cash market is. And we're getting really late in here to March, and something's going to happen, and I don't think it's going to be the fact cattle futures rallying. But April feeder cattle futures down $1.22 to end the day on Wednesday at 136.22. March was down $1 at 136.77. Your fat cattle trade, you remember we had trade on Tuesday, and mostly at 126 and 203. They sold several, 46,500 head, and that pretty much cleaned up all of the southern plains and got a pretty good start on the northern plains. Your weighted average on live steers through Tuesday was 126.07, so straight up 126. Had a few deals up north that pulled it up above that a little bit. Dress steers averaged 203.01, so 126 and 203. The board was lower again, like I just told you, on Wednesday, but the northern plains went ahead and just started selling some cattle. They didn't lose any more ground than what they had already lost. Actually getting a little bit more on some at 126.5, especially in your western side of the northern plains there. But 126 to 126.50 on a live basis. Colorado sold the bulk of theirs at 126.50. and 203 dress pretty much everywhere. So your fat cattle market's not going to change much, and it's sure not anything to get excited about. Slaughter has been very aggressive this week. The packers are making money. They're going to go ahead and hang as many of them up as they can. 354,000 so far through the week, and that was 6,000 more than last week and 4,000 more than the same week a year ago. Your feeder cattle market has been terrible this week. I mean, just absolutely fell out of bed. And when you start seeing market reports at high volume sales that says demand is straight up light, that is tough. When you're having a hard time getting a bid, the auctioneers just got to keep backing up to get somebody to grab a hold. And your market just gets progressively lower through the day in one sale. But your real-time index on Beef Market Central late in the day on Wednesday was sitting at 138.21, so no more 140 something. That was down $3.60 than just the previous end of the day on Tuesday there. But you look at the CME, of course that's the latest that's come out, and that was for Tuesday's release there, sitting at almost 141, and you cannot get that for cattle anymore. And even the fanciest ones in the northern plains weighing in the eights will not bring close to 141. But you look at some big markets on Wednesday, OKC West, and they had a very light receipts, only less than 7,300 head, including the calves. Of course, they had a light calf run, only about 1,500 calves on Tuesday, but Wednesday, less than 6,000 head of yearlings. That's very light for them. You compare that 7,300 head that they had, or lighter than that, to last week. It was 13,200 head for their sale, and the same sale a year ago was 10,100. I don't blame people for not selling the cattle. They don't have to sell them. And it's not like fat cattle that are on the show list that are inefficient and going backwards on you. You don't have to eat them. Keep a hold of those, especially if you got calves, guys. There'll be another little rally in this calf deal when things sure green up and everybody's turning out. You can hang on to them for that. Hang on to your yearlings. You know, we're going to have your best market's going to be sometime this summer. Yearlings always bring big money mid to late summer, especially the sure enough green ones just off grass, and that's where the bulk of them will be coming from, and the market's always good for them. People are always wanting them. Give this market a little bit of time. When they start working through some of these fat cattle that they've got stacked up, and these feed yards are really tight, when some of those pens get loose and they start getting a little vacancy in there, this yearling market will come back around. And like I said, there's still plenty of stock or demand out there to be had for quite some time. But OKC West, their market on feeder steers, $4 to $6 lower. Feeder heifers, $6 to mostly $8 lower. The light tested calves on Tuesday were sharply lower, 6 to 8, spots 10. But you look at the automated market report on Cattle Market Central out of El Reno there, and I know they called the market 4 to 6 and 6 to mostly 8 on heifers lower, which very, very similar on your automated market report on Cattle Market Central, but showed 3 to 7 on steers and 4 to 7 on heifers. And you look at the most popular weight on steers was 1,000 head and 3 head of 8-weight steers, averaging 841 pounds at 129.13. And your most popular weight of heifers was 805 head of 7-weight heifers, averaged 766 pounds at 122.35. Dodge City, Kansas had a tough go of it too. 3,100 head there at Winter Livestock. They sold feeder steers $5 to $10 lower. Feeder heifers similar, 4 to 8, and spots $12 lower on a yearling heifer. Calves did not have a good test, but sharply lower on calves. Just, you know, like I said earlier in the week, you know, on your feeder cattle and calves, the way it goes is everybody wants them or nobody wants them. And suddenly, to start out this week, nobody wanted them. I tell you where they did sell one string pretty good there was at St. Joe Stockyards in St. Joseph, Missouri. 113 head of stocker steers. You know, they got a little bit of weight to them, but up in that country they like to turn out a heavier stocker, especially if they're going to go west of there into the Flint Hills. But Mark Service, the owner-manager there, he told me now they were stocker 6 weights. They average 679 pounds and bring 162.75. Pretty good ticket there. Now I'm going to give you a dose of reality. The biggest sale barn that we got in the country, then they always have a good fair market there, but a good test of the market. And I just want to show you where we're at, guys. At OKC West in El Reno, 198 head of steers weighed 832 pounds, bring 132.25, and some bigger steers there, 178 head of 923 pound steers, bring 119.50. And that's your feeder flash for Thursday.